Jason Frank, spelling Jasonfrank, Sarasota Police Department Traffic Homicide Investigator.
Start with what you can tell us.
So, just so we get, I didn't even grab it. The other evening we responded to a traffic crash involving pedestrians and a motor vehicle in the area 7th and State Road 683, which is also known as North Washington Boulevard. Upon the original officers who arrived, several of the victims had already been transported to local area hospitals. The traffic unit was requested to come due to the severity of the injuries. We responded. We do the same for every crash that we're requested for. We map the scene. We look for all the tools that we can to attempt to put the pieces back together. So we began canvassing the area, looking for surveillance cameras, talking to witnesses, locating parts of vehicles, and then we just continued. And at that point, it became boots on the ground, old school police work for the traffic unit. And for the next few days, the investigators in traffic, our real-time crime center manager, John Lake, our intelligence unit, we all worked together. And a few days later, we were able to locate what we believe to be the vehicle involved in the crash.
So did you use the red light cameras or the school zone cameras to help?
We did not use we cannot use school cameras. Obviously, there's only a few of those. We used a wide variety of investigative tools. And I can't really go into all of those right now, but we used old school, boots on the ground, talking to people, looking for cameras, like I said, evidence on scene, and we just continued to work until yesterday when we located what we believe to be the vehicle.
Can you speak about that suspected vehicle and the suspected driver in this case right now?
Right now, all I can tell you is an elderly female.
What do you classify as elderly?
All I can tell you is an elderly female.
Can you talk about how community tips did that help them?
Absolutely. So part of our investigative tools was phone calls, emails, Crime Stoppers. We started a traffic tip line, which immediately, as soon as we put that out, the phone started ringing. Believe it or not, we're still getting a few who, the great thing is people think they see a vehicle, and even if it's not the right one, it potentially leads us down a good path, and we want to check all of those boxes. There were hundreds and hundreds of white Lexuses that matched that model in Sarasota. So we tracked down as many as we could throughout Sarasota, and again, boots on the ground with the investigators in traffic, to our intelligence unit, to our real-time crime lab. We all worked together.
We know your job isn't done yet. What will continue to go on? Because we know that we've seen that the car needs to go be tested for forensics.
Yes, so we're going to conduct a search warrant on the vehicle, and basically what we're looking for is any evidence of that crime. Clothing fibers, DNA, anything that we can be 100% sure that that vehicle was in fact involved.
Has that driver expressed any remorse?
So I can tell you that we've spoken to the driver of the vehicle, and she is being very, very cooperative.
For you working in traffic for so many years, is it something that somebody would be able to tell if they hit a person? Because we do these stories all the time on here.
You know, every crash is different. Every crash that we work, whether it be a basic fender bender to one of this nature, you can't really say what the person's thinking. We've had crashes in the past where people have thought they've hit trees or curbs or whatever, and you can't really put words in their mouth. This is why these kinds of investigations take so long, is because we want to give every opportunity for them to tell us what happened, what they think happened, what they think they saw, what they did see, what they didn't see. And this is why they take everybody in our unit, everybody in the intelligence unit, the real-time crime center, and again, we work together. This is not a one person, although there's one person's name on a crash report, it's not just one person that does these investigations.
Kind of all the work that you guys have to do. Is there any question of whether or not this was the person who was behind the wheel? And I ask that because, I'm looking at some of the shares of your guys' posts on social, and people are like, where are the charges? Where's the mugshot? Why is this taking so long? What's going on?
So the reason it takes so long is because it's still an open investigation. We want to make sure, without a doubt, that the vehicle, that the driver is in fact who was involved. Charges aren't going to be filed overnight because we still have a lot of investigating to do. And I understand the community's concern wanting to know where those charges are. But they also have to understand, in order for us to get it right, we have to take our time. Rushing through things, we potentially miss evidence. Rushing through things, we potentially miss a piece of the story. And in order to put it all together, we have to have the entire thing. And so basically, you want to categorize a traffic crash to this magnitude as a jigsaw puzzle. And each piece has a specific place where it goes. And if you're missing a piece, the puzzle is not complete.
And you say that she's being cooperative. How is she being cooperative?
Just in that nature, she's being cooperative with us.
I mean, is she talking to you?
This is still currently open, and I cannot elaborate on anything that she has or has not said. You've been trying.
Take us back to the clarification on how you were able to connect with this alleged driver. Did this person self-identify, or did you identify them through your investigative process? I just want to clarify that.
So again, using all of our investigative tools, we were able to track down as many cars as we could. We located this vehicle using those tools.
Can you give us any update on the condition of the 29-year-old mother?
I do not, and I can't. I'm not the lead investigator, so I don't have that information. And with all of how HIPAA and everything is, I can't even if I did know, I unfortunately I can't.
Tell us about this roadway. What is it like? I mean, we were there yesterday and witnessed an accident right in front of us.
So the stretch of State Road 683 between Fruitville and 10th Street, obviously 10 blocks long. In this area, there is a median that separates both north and south and turn lanes. And the unfortunate thing is, in that stretch of roadway, the only crosswalks right now are at Fruitville and at 10th Street. And humans are a creature of habit, and I'm sure when you were out there yesterday, you probably saw people crossing. So this is a very highly traveled roadway by both pedestrians, bicyclists, cars, both north and south, vehicles that are pulling out off of side streets, out onto 301. So it is a very, very highly traveled roadway by all road users.
Is there a potential to review that area? Because when we were there, in addition to the accident and then the fact that pedestrians are going from Shenandoah to Gillespie, the bars that, the drivers have to go up to, you can't see left or right very clearly. So is there potential to review that area?
So yes, every roadway in the city is always under review for extra markings, for additional paint. Sometimes that paint fades over time. Those are things that the city is constantly doing through traffic operations. Every officer who is on the street has the obligation, if they see that certain signs are missing, stop signs or red lights that are not, we make note of that. We send that through as an employee observation. Those things go through traffic ops and they're fixed from there. So yes, it is always, every roadway in the city, whether it be a state road that's handled by Florida Department of Transportation or a local road by the city of Sarasota, they're always looking for improvement.
Has this elderly been lawyered up yet?
I can't tell you that.
Is there anything else you need from the public?
I just want to reiterate that we at the police department are so grateful for our community who has been watching this and helping, and the phone calls and the tips. We can't ever say which tip it was that led us to this crash or the next crash or a previous crash, but every tip matters. Even the smallest little tip, the citizens may not think that it's a big deal, but on our end, when we're putting that puzzle back together, sometimes it makes that much of a difference.
So it's safe to say that they were not in a crosswalk?
No, they were not.
So they were crossing the street, do we know?
We know that they were in the roadway at the time of the crash.
So some of the blame could be on them?
I'm not going to say because there still is a lot to go through. Directions of travel and everything without going into things that we're still looking into.
Do we have any insight as to why the driver didn't stop yet?
I can't talk about that right now.
Okay, and speaking about hit and runs, any advisory?
So yes, we've actually been discussing hit and runs for a long time, and we've been trying for years to get it out there. And the unfortunate thing with a lot of crashes is when it is a hit and run, people get scared. We understand that. But when you leave is when the tables turn. When you leave and whether it be a small fender bender or an instance like this, the best thing to do is to just stop. A lot of times in the past, we've seen people who have been involved in crashes who did nothing wrong until they left. So every crash is different, and we're still working on this one to find out all the questions that I wish we could talk about. We're still working on coming to a conclusion on those. But at the end of the day, any crash, you have a duty to report that, whether it be a slight rear end at a red light or a serious injury crash. Good? Okay. That's all I got.
You couldn't say she was remorseful, huh?
Well,
That's kind of doesn't